Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to Reader's Workshop. Today's starts a new way of looking at our next unit in Reader's Workshop and phonics. We're going to focus on those two pieces in our first unit. But you might have noticed in your folder today is something that looks like this, a game board that leads us through the next 3 weeks of Writer's Workshop. And here we are today on day 1. We have both a reading lesson and a phonics lesson. All right, so for week 1, now today is our day 1. Our target or our objective for today is I can identify the main idea and key details of a text. Now this is a skill you've been practicing for a couple of years. But remember, as our reading improves and we read higher level texts, we want to continue to practice discovering the main idea of a text and what are the details that support that. Okay, so the materials that we'll need today are the Partners in Survival book, right? You probably have this from materials pickup from last week. So if you need to pause this video, you can go and find your book. All right, and then we're going to read in this book today the mentor text number 1, okay? Energy from the Sun, pages 6 to 7. All right, so we're looking for this article. This is where we're going to focus in on main idea and details. All right, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger here so we can take a look. All right, now in order to help us find the main idea and details, we're going to use a strategy that we learned last week called annotating or connecting with the text. And if you remember in that lesson, we talked about really keeping our mind engaged with what we're reading. And as good readers, we ask questions and we try to answer them while we're reading. But we also pay close attention to facts or information that's really interesting or that stands out while we're reading. All right, and so since we know today that our focus is on main idea and details, we're definitely going to want to underline or circle words that we think connect to main idea or details. Right? You might also notice other words that answer questions that you have after looking at the pictures or the title, or things that connect to personal experiences that you've had. All right, so notice that in your book you have a place to write on both sides of the book, and you can write in these books. All right, we're going to practice annotating in our books as we read. Right? So the title of this article is called Energy from the Sun. Right? And as good readers, we want to go ahead and take a minute to look at the pictures and pay close attention to some of those I wonder statements. Is there anything here that catches your attention that you wonder about, or anything that connects to your past experiences? It says the process of photosynthesis, water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and sunlight. And it says through photosynthesis, plants combine carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. This makes glucose, a type of sugar the plants can store and use as food. So that makes me think the sun is kind of supplying food for the plants through photosynthesis. And then I see this picture over here with a gentleman holding soil. And it says some farmers raise decomposers such as earthworms to improve the quality of the farm's soil. So I noticed that word decomposers. See if that connects to anything that you know from prior experience. And I want you to, before we start reading today, right up in the top corner here, write down one thing you're wondering. One I wonder sentence, or one question that you have after looking at the title and those two pictures. All right, and feel free to pause this video if you need more time to write, because you're going to make sure you have a capital letter and the right punctuation. Right, and once you've finished writing that, let's go ahead and read this first paragraph. I'm going to share with you how I would annotate this. Okay, it says, scientists estimate that there are almost 9 million different kinds of organisms on Earth. However, all these life forms have one thing in common. They all get their energy from the sun. Different groups of organisms get the energy in different ways. All right, so I'm thinking that I'm going to underline 3 full sentences because I know that I'm looking for the main idea, and I keep hearing energy and sun mentioned in the title and in the pictures. So I'm going to underline, however, all these life forms have one thing in common. They all get their energy from the sun. Different groups of organisms get this energy in different ways. All right, so I underlined 3 sentences, but I know that part of thinking and connecting to the text is putting that into my own words. All right, so next to this paragraph, I'm just going to add organisms get their energy from the sun. Right? It's short and sweet, but it's a way for me to go back, look at my own words so I can talk or communicate about this text. And it also helps me answer that question about main idea and details. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue to read. Follow along with me. Remember, just following along while someone reads helps you become a better reader. But you're going to push pause on the video anytime you need to stop and write your annotations. Questions, underlines, circles, writing notes. Plants such as corn belong to a group called producers. Producers get the sun's energy through a process called photosynthesis. Plants contain a chemical called chlorophyll. During photosynthesis, plants use chlorophyll to absorb energy from the sunlight. Then they combine the energy with carbon dioxide and water to create sugars. Sugars help plants grow. They also provide energy for another group of organisms called consumers. Animals, including humans, belong to this group. Consumers get energy from the sun by eating plants or other animals that have eaten plants. The sugars in plants provide consumers with energy and nutrients, or the substance they need to live and grow. These nutrients are then passed along to another group called decomposers. Worms, bacteria, and insects belong to this group. Decomposers eat dead organisms and waste material. In doing so, they release nutrients back into the soil. These nutrients, in turn, help plants grow. In this way, producers, consumers, and decomposers each play an important role in absorbing and sharing the sun's energy. So it is interesting how everything comes back to the plant that gets energy from the sun. All right. Now, with our article, excuse me while I jump around here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and present. Now that we've finished the article, I'm going to take a look at the next slide here. And we're going to think, talk, and write about this. says, look at the first paragraph of Energy from the Sun. What two sentences tell you two main ideas of the text? All right, now this box represents those two margins down the side. I want you to go back and look. Okay, the question is, what two sentences tell you two main ideas of the text? Okay, and you're going to write those sentences right in the margin. Okay, and while you're writing, remember we're practicing capital letters, periods, and complete sentences. All right, nice work, and I will see you in our phonics work today.